Now we have some other structures, most of which are basically things we need to understand or have a basic concept of in architecture. First of all, we have to deal with cantilever. Now, a cantilever structure is simply an overhanging beam or floor that is supported only at one end. And it looks remarkable in architecture, but we don't see it used that often. In fact, it's much more common that we see it used for bridge construction. While the bridge is under construction, starting from the piers, the verticals, and moving between them, the bridge will be cantilevered until the last piece is put into place, at which point it is no longer cantilevered, the two ends meet. But under construction, it is cantilevered. This is very, very common to see, and probably the most practical use of cantilever construction. Then we have bearing walls, and bearing walls are the walls that support the roof and the floors above it. So, when you're looking at a home, there are certain walls that can and cannot be removed. And it all has to do with the roof trusses. Any wall that's running perpendicular to the roof trusses is generally a bearing wall. If it is not, then it is probably not a bearing wall. If you're going to knock out a wall, put a window in, put a door in, this is very important to know. Usually bearing walls will run from the roof line all the way down into the ground because it has to transfer that weight of the roof. Of course, the weight of the roof isn't that great in wood construction compared to, say, a church or something like that. You can also have a situation where you have a non-load bearing wall, a wall that you see on one floor but not on the next, and that could be a closet or something like that. These are walls that I can go ahead and get rid of if I want to create that wonderful open concept that everyone wants. Now, in the basement, usually there's going to be a bearing beam. Today it could be a manufactured wood product, maybe a steel beam. In older houses, it's often a giant oak beam. And beneath that, you'll see these what look like really wimpy little steel columns. Those are actually really important in the basement because they hold up a great deal of the weight of the house. The house isn't going to fall down if you remove that column, at least not immediately, but it will start to collapse over time. If the house collapses, it probably looks something like this. Then we have skeleton frame. This is how we build almost all modern structures at this time. And it's the same concept whether I'm dealing with the Hancock Tower on the left or someone's home on the right. Just the materials change. So framework supports the building with the walls forming a skin on the outside as well as a skin on the inside. So it works just like our own skeletons. We're building that bracing first and then working around it. In commercial applications, this is often or almost always going to be steel. In residential, it's almost always wood. The difference is cost and the strengths of the materials.